This year, the most famous hero stories will be told.
Tjipangandjara.
Relive the ways of how the holy fires used to operate. Bringing to the screens for the very first time how the Uaatjo people used to live. We will hear night tales. We will see how Kalondungwa, Walombandwa used to operate. This year, you will experience the richness of the Oshihero language and the words of Tjipangandjara. Coming soon.
Well, isn't that just amazing? I think that trailer just speaks so much for itself. We're now joined in studio by Uaatjo Kangootui, one of the actresses in the Tjipangandjara movie. Good evening, Uaatjo. Thank you so much for making time to talk to us today.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Quite an interesting trailer we just saw there. I think it's quite, worth watching. I think just first things first, really. What is the meaning of Tjipangandjara first?
Direct translation of Tjipangandjara means a curer of hunger.
Right.
So Tjipangandjara was a Herero poet, simply put equivalent to William Shakespeare, if I may, because of his knowledge of the Oshihero language. And they say that he had a way with his words, like he would entice people with his skills in the language. So hence the name Curer of Hunger.
Wow, interesting. And talk to us first about the whole concept of the trailer, the movie, in fact, that we just saw there. What really is the storyline behind it?
In my own words, it's Omamboya Tjipangandjara. This just means that it's idioms.
All right.
So this story gets to explain some of the idioms that we just loosely use, like it put context to it. So we're hoping that we will be able to raise a generation that doesn't loosely translate this, but is better educated and knows where we're coming from and who we are about to become.
Interesting. Yeah. Of course, you are one of the actresses in this movie. Talk to us about your role.
I play Uaatjo.
Okay.
Uaatjo is, she is a member in the sequence of how messages were transmitted back in the day. Right. If I need to say something to somebody who is outside Windhoek, I just shoot them a text or I call them. So, but back in the day, they had to innovate ways to communicate so that distance isn't necessarily a barrier. So Uaatjo is a member in, receiving the message and how message is carried across. And because I'm a nurse by profession, I was given a role where Uaatjo is a local healer. So she gets to locally or traditionally heal certain diseases that people encountered back in the day. She takes care of conjunctivitis in my role, and that was quite
That's interesting.
Fun. Yeah.
I think this is quite interesting to know that this is something that's based off of old tradition. How important really is this, to really uncover such history and to tell such a story to the upcoming generation?
It was breathtaking for me, especially. Like, it felt like jumping onto a time machine and then have it rewinded. So I had to tap into what my grandmother could have been like. Because I'm sure that everything that she taught me, she learned from her grandmother and every other grandmother before then. So for me, it was like representing the bloodline, women, the beautiful women in my family. Right. So it was breathtaking, and I'm floored, honored to be part of a teaching experience for the younger generation or anybody else who really is trying to learn more about our tradition.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to watching this movie, like I mentioned earlier. So when is it set to premiere, and what can the public look out for?
Well, it premieres on the 21st of June.
21st of June.
Marumo Cinema. I'm very excited. We have a theme. It is Herero Glam. So you get to decide, what does Herero Glam mean to you? Right. So I'm looking forward to everybody showing up in costumes, bedazzled, and yeah, I honestly just can't wait.
21st of June.
21st
of
of
course,
June.
that the theme is
Herero Glam.
Herero Glam.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you believe that there's enough and accurate representation of Namibian, in the African and global industry? I mean, we do know that. I mean, like what you mentioned, this is something that's going to come up, but it's not new. Of course, we've seen some almost similar stories being told. But do you think that's enough representation of Namibians and African films in the industry right now?
I think there is let me rather say not enough, authentic or proper representation of Namibian, let alone African stories. People are starting to focus on, or rather we focus on westernizing everything with its fast cars, guns blazing, profanity, if I may, while African stories are beautiful. They have color, they come with rhythm and hymns, and I can proudly sit here and say that Tjipangandjara does a decent job at representing what Namibia has to offer, what Africa has to offer.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, it's quite nice to see this coming up, and I think we should want to encourage more Namibians to kind of tell more stories. What's your advice to upcoming writers, to kind of also go out there and really look for those rich history stories that can be told in such a creative manner?
I think we should, as individuals, we need to be able to tap into who we are first before you attempt to write something. First, figure out who you are and where you at. What is your history? Where are we coming from? What is the way forward? What are you trying to portray? What are you trying to teach your viewers? So I think just find yourselves, because people just get to find a pen and a piece of paper and just start jotting down things, and things don't interlink the way your Tjipangandjara is.
Interesting. I really like the way you described that, though. Thank you so much for making time to talk to us about this.
Thank you very much for
21st
having
of
me.
June is, of course, the day this movie premieres. We can't wait to see it. So thank you so much and congratulations for being, one of the actresses on this movie.
Thank you. It's quite magical for me.
Absolutely. All right, that was Uaatjo Kangootui talking to us about this very exciting movie called Tjipangandjara. That premieres on the 21st of June. That is at ST at the mall in Meromo. We just can't wait to see this one. And also this also brings us to the end of this week's